Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah, yeah, yeah. See, if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better. Just know that love and joy and peace is one in all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. Your energy. That's right. Only you can make the change. Share your energy. Shine so bright from darkness from darkness to light. Yeah, and you'll find your way out. Yeah, oh, it won't seem way out. Yeah, the power of God will flow through you from way out. You'll feel it from deep within, and from there you can begin.
All right, so I just did a show, and we were talking about a lot of different stuff when it comes down to you know the FBA movement. But I wanted to like take some time to get into the spiritual for those that may or may not practice Ifa or Orisha. Every year, if you guys don't know, they have this thing called the letter of the year, and it gives the year's predictions, right? Babalawos come together in different places, and there's different La Letra de Años that are done around the same time for like Cuba, Florida. They have one I think in New York, and this is like the yearly predictions. Each practitioner in IFA, what they do is they have an elay. So I will also be doing a reading for my house as a priestess, and that is like a thing. The Ifa faith, and one of the Ifa is based on divination. So what happens is that we don't just go through the year without having no idea what's going on. So what's happening is that they have the La Letra de Año that is going to be interpreted by Joseph Baba Ifa, and I wanted to play that and give you guys that, and I'm gonna like if I can find some other ones because I think there's one for like Cuba. There's different ones. And they all, I will say this, is that sometimes you'll notice that they all kind of are like saying similar things, but even if they have different do's, they're kind of like all line up in a weird way together. It's really crazy how they do. But I wanted to at least take the time out and give you guys the La Letra de Año. Shouts out to Joseph Baba Ifa and Our Roots podcast for giving La Letra de Año the letter of the year, you know, for 2026. And I want to go ahead and get that started. Let's go.
Everybody, happy 2026 coming at you with La Letra del Año from La Casona Comisión Miguel Feble Sofumnabe. Phil, happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2026. We made it. We did it. We're here, bro? Man. So happy to be here.
Likewise.
Happy we are back live in front of everybody. If you are in the chat, say what's up. It's been a little bit since we've been live with everybody. I know our members get it, so this is literally for everybody. So, hey, say hi, say where you're watching from. I know our audience is all over the world. So say hi, say what's up, say all that jazz. But before we even get started, Joseph.
Yes, sir.
We got to pay some bills here,
Okay.
right?
I thought I was a little nervous.
Right? No, guys, if you are not a member, it's
Get
really
in there.
easy. Right under this video, just click that button. It says join our membership. Join about some events that you guys are going to be having over the summer and
Guys. So it's the one that we interpret, even though all of them are great. A couple people to the right. He's actually standing next to Luciano Canto y Woribobe, who's sitting next to Miguel Feble Sodica, who I believe right between and behind both of them is Lázaro Cuesta y Woriwofung.
Right. So this is where every year the Babalawos in Cuba come together. The Yoruba Association of Cuba, every year they do Letra de Año. And here you'll see the Babalawos. They all get together, they come together and they do their reading for the year. Okay? And that's like a whole thing. So and it breaks down what's gonna happen, this, that, the other, you know. So I mean I could read the La Letra de Año, but I think it's good to have Joseph Baba. He's a Babalawo, so he'll be able to break it down a little bit more than I would. Yes. So I'm going to allow him to. I think he's going to do the Florida La Letra de Año. But I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how involved this whole thing is. This is in Cuba. All these Babalawos come together and they do their reading. They print it off. It's a whole thing, right? And people, and that is the prediction of what could happen, what's going to happen for the year, right? And then you have one in Nigeria. You have one that happens. They happen all over, right? At the same time, Babalaos begin to divine as the new year starts, and then gives the prediction of the new year. Okay, so let's get into it. So I just wanted to show y'all that real quick. That this is a whole thing that happens in the tradition of Orisha and the Yoruba faith. So let's go.
Here we go. Can't wait to go to Atlanta and New York and replicate all the success we had here in Orlando. Really productive time, lovely time where we were able to network and learn Ifa together over that 48-hour span. So definitely take full advantage. And it's a pleasure to be back on the live, man. I enjoy these so much. La Letra del Año is a hot topic, especially knowing which one to follow, right? All of them are great. But as far as the way we do it, or the way I was trained, being that one of our elders, Beto Berosung, was one of the gentlemen there when it started happening in the 80s and whatnot, and even beforehand. But I make reference to the photo. He's actually standing near Miguel Febles in the photo, a couple people to the right. He's actually standing next to Luciano Canto y Woribobe, who's sitting next to Miguel Febles Sodica, who I believe right between and behind both of them is Lázaro Cuesta y Woriwofung, who is the gentleman who still runs La Letra del Año over there in La Casona. I know a couple of the gentlemen that actually worked to be able to pull it. All gentlemen, all prepared, knowledgeable guys, ethical guys. So it's the one that we interpret, even though all of them are great.
Yep, and I know a lot of people have already been chatting, so we will be putting up the comments as soon as we get them. But also, since this is a live with everybody, sometimes it does get a little crazy here.
Oh yeah.
But if you definitely want your comment to be seen ahead of time, super chats are welcome.
Let me also show La Letra de Año in Miami. So what happens is the same cyber Cuba. So it shows this is the Letra de Año, what came out in Cuba, the one that came out in Miami. So it's a whole thing. So you have the different Ifa houses that come together, and so you have the Cuba, you have the Miami, different houses based on the land that you're on will do a la letra de año for the land that you're on. Now, some people will follow mainly Cuba, some people will follow Miami, some people will follow the New York, uh, some people, you have a Babalao that you follow, and then you have the letra de año for your immediate house. But I wanted to just show the one that Baba Ifa. I think he is going to do the one for Miami, which is supposed to encompass the United States. So, Alafia, Alafia, Alafia. Oh my God, Stairs! Ah, what's up, girl? Oh my God, oh girl, that's my sister here. Yes, Alafia. Yes. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's see what came out as the predictions for this year. Let's go.
So we do have that, but I do got to show some love.
Baba knows the way.
Oh, man. 6. The Odu of Ofunabe from the Kasona comes with the reigning Orisha of Ogun, and the accompanying Orisha is Oya, so we'll be focusing on them quite a bit. And then apart from that, the prophecy was that of Ayewo Ofo, right? Or a negativity of loss or giving too much. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what aspects of Ofunabe embodied and encompassed these concepts so we know what to avoid this year, 2026. So the first prayer that I threw there from Ofunabe, which is the most commonplace one within the Lukumi practice, speaks of the war between the butterfly and the moth. So both of them go through their transformation process, right? But obviously they look very different. The butterfly was known for being flashy, little arrogant, a little disorganized. He was kind of all over the place, a little flamboyant. And then the moth was a little more reserved and stoic, really didn't bother nobody, stuck to himself and all these different things. And the butterfly wanted the moth to be like him, but the moth was like, no, I'm good here. They both went for divination. A Funabe was revealed for both of them. The butterfly was told to perform sacrifice to avoid a premature death, just like the moth. But the butterfly didn't do it because he thought everybody loved him and his conduct. And the moth did because he knew that not everybody can love you. So one day, based on Eshu corrupting the mind of the animals around him and whatnot, people became very annoyed and frustrated with the butterfly, and because of it, either they ate him or they touched his wings and broke them to where he couldn't fly anymore. Ultimately, he succumbed to a fate that was not desirable, as opposed to the moth, who didn't move that much and maintained his character, and people actually feared him because that's when you look at a moth and the eyes you see on the back of his wings and the designs actually scare away any would-be predators. So that's why they call it laba laba, right? This is the word for the butterfly, but it really makes reference to the black one. In this Odu, there's also a pataki. When the black butterfly would come around, it would actually, prognosticate negativity. So this Odu says not to keep anybody paranoid because, like, the Mothman movie and stuff like that. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
all. I never watched that film, by the way. It seemed like a little too intense for me.
Was never a fan of Richard Gere.
I have nothing against Richard. Pretty Woman was a pretty popular movie, right? But if you see one, just be cautious and things like that. But you want to exemplify the moth here because Ofunabe says that we have to be careful to be based in impression rather than substance. So we never want to be a professional that looks the part but can't walk it. It's much better to be like the moth, be of substance. People who are confident really don't have to talk that much. We really don't have to floss. You are what you are. No matter where you are, your presence is felt. So the Sodu says, be careful with people who move a little too much, talk a little too much. That's really not the behavior to have here. You kind of want to be like the moth, be confident in your own skin. Don't feel the need to comment on others or try to influence others to be like you, and everything should turn out pretty fine. And be careful with the black butterflies this year. It actually, this Odu doesn't speak negatively of the color black. It's actually a power color, but at the same time, always take into account your own taboos so you're not, confusing energy too much through this year. Yeah.
Somebody was asking, is this live? Yes.
Absolutely. This is live.
is
Share the
live.
video, guys. Share it. We're going to be here for a little bit. Thank you so much, Astro. Blessings. Please ask a question for sure. Bendiciones, Mr. Camacho, Ifaranti, Alafia. Thank you. Bendiciones.
We got a lot. We got about 90 people watching right now.
Oh, my Lord.
Maybe a little more.
Thank you, guys. Definitely share the video. Happy New Year, man. I hope everybody had a blessed and unified holiday. I hope you got everything you wanted and more.
I want to ask everybody real quick. Do y'all, so we're getting a little older here. Do y'all stay up? Do y'all stay up to midnight, or are you out before midnight?
I do. I watched the ball drop. I watched the ball drop with my kids, and
I watched Stranger Things, the finale.
I heard it's doing well. I heard it's doing extremely well.
That was my New Year's thing. I watched Stranger Things, the series finale. So
that's a great way to bring in the year.
Yeah,
that's fabulous. But I actually have the custom. I try to be home on New Year's. You know what I'm saying? Just because the changing of the energy and whatnot. It's a hectic time. But yeah, I was definitely home with the family, and we shout out to my kids. What's going on, guys? From Malta, Illinois.
Okay. Northern California.
All right.
Look at that. Brazil. I gotta talk about it.
Oy.
I gotta talk about Ciabra.
Yeah, we had some picanha before we recorded. We hit all our protein marks today.
Yep. Dallas, Texas here. We got North Carolina here. We got Ontario, California. We got so many people in here.
That's awesome.
I can't tell what flag that is.
I think that's Barbados.
Okay. Please correct us if that was incorrect.
But I think so. So with the trident.
Yeah, everybody is in here and say, and yeah, it's still loading. All the comments are still loading, but
that's awesome. Yeah, we'll go ahead with Padaki from Ogun here. Yeah.
Hold on, there's a question here.
Oh, yeah,
I was waiting for it to load. It just says, would you say black butterflies, or does that apply to the black and yellow?
Yeah, if it's majority black or it's noticeably black, but it's kind of hard to see an all black one based on where you are geographically. But a dark butterfly here could be a warning, right, of something negative. So, because La Balaba would come around and it would always be negative. So everybody was like, oh man, this guy, he's coming around again. This Odu speaks of the importance of being likable, being social, being gregarious, being affable. Because Ofunabe is an Odu that is definitely misunderstood and misinterpreted. I actually have a godson that I did Ifatu that came with Ofunabe, and he's doing wonderfully, right? And he is a son of Ogun. Ogun here may be the most manageable Orisha, right? The reason I say that is because in this sign, Ogun actually provided a lot of solutions for the person. So in this Odu, Ofunabe is characterized by stomach pains. People have to be very careful with their internal health, digestive system, all these different things. Because in this sign, Ofunabe had a bad habit of he would always consume like excessive amounts of fatty protein, whether it was like certain parts of pork, certain parts of beef with a high fat content. And because of it, it actually started, really destroying his stomach, right? That's why Ofunabe, along with the Odu of Obeyono, you tap your stomach and you blow it to release any negativity and things like that could centralize in that area. So Funabe went for divination, right? And it was identified with his own Odu that he needed to perform offerings and sacrifice to Ogun. There's an interesting piece of work here that happens in the forest with some beef and things like that, cleaning a pigeon, Ogun, where when he went there, Ogun cleaned him and was able to expel the negativity that he had ingested. So this Odu says, be very careful where you're eating, what you're eating, and who you're getting it from. Unfortunately, it's an Odu of witchcraft where people might try to put negative things or intentions upon your food. So just make sure you trust the person that's nourishing you at that moment, because it might come with more than what you expected. But also in this Odu, the Orisha Ogun was, a carnivore, but in some versions a cannibal. And he actually would consume and consume and consume. And because of it, all the bacteria and things in his stomach was killing him, right? To the point where, he basically had to do the harakiri or the seppuku, which is basically the samurai death.
Yeah.
When he actually opened his stomach up to be able to expel all of it, to be able to eliminate all of the gases that were within him, thus saving his life. But that's why we blow on our fingers after tapping our stomach in this Odu. So if we look here, it says a negativity of loss or giving too much. In this sign, Ogun provided a lot of benefits, but Ofunabe, just like Ogun in the other stories, Mistake was greed. This Odu speaks of the importance of patience, moderation, being calculated, when it comes to whatever it is that we want to advance in. But moderation is key here, eating the right things, not eating too much, even with work, charging just and due compensation for your work, but at the same time having a work life balance, because without that, life isn't worth living. But Ogun here speaks of tragedies, unfortunately, where Ifa says we have to get any pending work done to the car, be careful with any pending procedures or ceremonies, procedures actually from a medical standpoint, or ceremonies from a spiritual standpoint, so that we can avoid any negativity or any kind of phenomenon when it comes to our lives, right? Because Ogun here, if we're talking about a negativity of loss, the losses that Ogun provides could be surgical, it could be trauma, whether it's through an accident or some type of tragedy. So we want to be able to do things in a way where we convert that into all the positives that he provided here, which was salvation and prosperity, right? So, any questions before I move on?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just don't want to, because I'll start going off. Yeah, if you're not initiated, is it a must to do a first of the year reading? That's completely up to you. If you want to, you can. It's ideal. If you are initiated, it becomes a little more optional, because depending on the person's economic situation, they could either do their annual reading, or what I love to recommend, if everything's going fine, is for them to just do a new ebo from their sign, because that's going to provide new benefits, new blessings perpetually. Once you do an ebo from your Odu, you never have to repeat it. It's like a cheat code to life. You get those benefits, perpetually. So, it really has to be a conversation between the professional and client, or godparent and godchild. But is it obligatory? No.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Oh, we got another one. Iboru boy Wachiche. Happy New Year to all from Astro. Hello. New to the channel. Welcome. I received my mano orula a few months ago. Okana sode omo lokun. Can you give your view on this sign? Modupe. Okana sode, means literally Okana tied on the ide. Congratulations on taking what may be the most important spiritual step of your life in receiving your hand of Ifa. Definitely it marks you for Odisha priesthood or Ifa priesthood, depending on who you are. But a lot of benefits there. The most important thing is try to always have your green and yellow beads on, to avoid any type of lack of function or phenomena.
All right. The rest are just everyone's happy to be here. So
All right, well, we're happy
continue.
to have you.
Yeah.
So in the Odu of Ofunabe, it speaks of the Odisha Oya quite heavily. Couple different things. But in this sign, Oya wanted to initiate her son as a babalawo. His name was Omoiku, right? Or child of death or lack of function. And in some versions, the boy's father was Shango. And Shango and Oya had different viewpoints on if and when the boy should do Ifa or whatnot. But she went to Orumila, and the child received his hand of Ifa, and Ofunara or Ofunabe was revealed, right? And Orumila said it was probably ideal that he did not initiate, because he might be meant more for spiritual practice or Orisha practice. Now, mind you, this is within the hand of Ifa context. And even then, it's all due to interpretation. But Oya persisted, and she wanted to rush the ceremony because she had somewhat of a frustration where no one in her family was babalawo per se. So, being that, there was jealousy and arrogance and envy in the air, especially during the boy's ceremony, he pulls Ofunabe again. And Orumila is kind of looking, saying, things might get a little intense here, especially on the day of the Yodye. So they say that when he went through the Yodye process, which is the part where we get hit with sticks, he actually died succumbing to the abusive blows from the brother Bawalaos, being that, spiritually he wasn't compatible with the process and he actually didn't want to do it. This Odu says that, we have to be very careful, right? How we progress spiritually and making sure that everything we do is based on an Odu and not off of inspiration or capriciousness. Because in this sign, Oya wanted her son to be a Babalawo, but maybe he wasn't meant to be a Babalao. Maybe he didn't want to be a Babalao. We have to make sure that everything we do is based on a sign and is productive, because if we do things that Ifa is not telling us to do, things could end very negatively, like changing people's guardian angels, doing processes that are not based on Odu or Ifa's advice. and then we get a negative result. Well, Rula was saying this the whole time. Now, if someone has pending initiations and whatnot, this would be the year to do them. Ofunabe says that whatever we have pending, ideally we want to sew up this year. So any brothers that want to become Babalaos, this is a great year. Anybody that wants to crown Orisha, this is an excellent year, because it speaks of talented people all around getting involved in this. But word to the wise, we have to make sure we're getting in it for the right reasons and with the right people, because in this sign, Oya's son died in the Ifa. So we have to make sure that, whoever we select has our best interest in mind, because it is of nothing or of no consequence to do a great deed in the presence of people who are not qualified to do it. So this Odu unfortunately speaks of spiritual malpractice on a whole, where the people who were initiating people really weren't prepared to be able to do this. And because of it, we started seeing very negative spiritual results within the community, right? So it's very easy for somebody to say, yeah, I'll take those couple thousands of dollars to crown Odisha to you, but is it going to get done right? And the results are everything, because all else is debatable. How are people's god kids doing? How are people's ile doing? How are they living? All of these things are, significant when it comes to selecting an establishment. And this sign, well, yeah, initiated her son into a house where Odumela really didn't have control of the Babalaos or the professionals around him. So we have to be very careful there. Now, Ofunabe is a polemic Odu because when Ofunabe comes out, the first thing everybody wants to say to that brother is, hey, you can't do Ifa. And this couldn't be further from the truth. So Ofunabe is born Babalawo. The problem is we have to identify the person's characteristics and conditions and make sure they're eligible, make sure they're qualified, and make sure they have that desire, because not everybody that's a Yobe is meant to be a Babalao, and not everybody that's Ofunabe is meant to be an Espiritita or an Oriate or Lorisha. We have to kind of gauge things. Ofunabe can kind of do whatever they want based on their conditions. We just have to walk the path and get to know each other and see, hey, what do you like the most? What are you compatible with? And then we'll work towards that. But nothing here should be rushed, right? So if it was a negativity of loss, Oya suffered a loss here by being capricious and being, unmeasured and trying to do things in a spontaneous fashion. This Odu says we should not do anything spontaneous. Everything needs to be calculated and everything needs to be based on Ifa. Because Ofunabe is saying people are getting a little too creative, where a lot of people are making things up along the way because they don't want to study. Like, for example, you have brother Babalawos who don't know how to do Ebo, but they want to kind of have an influence over the climate of the community. Rather than having an opinion on everything, maybe you should sit down and study, as long as it takes for you to do a proper Ebo. Or, we have Olorisha who are like, I want to crown people. Well, make sure you crown the right guardian Orisha so people don't leave your house, or, that you actually know what you're doing. But all of it comes back to study. In this sign, Oya did not study. In this sign, Orumila was unprepared, and because of it, it caused somebody's death. And there's plenty of ways to die and still be breathing, right? This Odu also speaks once again of the Ifa process, where Elegua had a son and they initiated his son, but once again, they did it incorrectly, right? It was a weak ceremony. Certain things were there to make it semi-legitimate, but the person saw none of the results and all of the negativities because a lot of corners were cut to the point where it was into the muscle rather than just into the fat. So once again, where is our loss going to come from as a community globally is by not studying and preparing ourselves to give the person coming in the best experience and possible chance at a great Ifan Orisha career. Right?
You got about 125 people.
Oh my gosh, thank you
chat.
guys.
And they're locked and listening, man. Normally we get flooded.
No questions,
with comments. Right. I mean, they're just saying Ashe, all that.
That's
stuff,
what's up.
like,
that's what's up. Yeah, Ofunabe.
They're all here. They're here with you.
That's Orlando.
Yeah. But just while you're about to pick back up, let's just remind people again about the Light Within.
Guys, the Light Within workshop, take advantage of the $100 special that's going on right now. Use that promo, get in there. We can't wait to see you in Atlanta and New York. We will be there in full effect, right? So hope to see everybody there. It's going to be a great couple days. We're going to learn a bunch. We're going to interact a bunch, and it's all going to be positive. So good things.
Click that link in the pinned comment. So this is only going to be available for tonight. So after the live, go ahead and make sure you save that and go ahead and click that link and use the code Roots Members.
Righteous. So once again, Ofunabe. Ofunabe speaks of the importance of avoiding gossip, of avoiding getting involved in other people's personal or spiritual lives. Orumila is reprimanding the community on a whole for being overly critical. To be able to constructively criticize someone, you have to have constructed something. And a lot of the establishments who dedicate their time towards criticism haven't constructed anything, right? And Ofunnabe is saying this needs to be abolished and it needs to be reprimanded from the community on a whole, so it does not persist because it's weakening us, right? The reason I say this is because this is the Odu of Eshu Laboni, right? And Eshu Laboni, it's also present in the Odu of Otura Bara, but in Ofunnabe, it speaks of when he was the child of Obatala and Oshun, two very important deities here. So they gave birth to this child, and he was very prolific. He was a prodigy. He started speaking at a very young age. He had opinions that were far more mature than his age. And, people thought it was cute in the beginning, but little by little, he started talking too much. So people started complaining to Obatala and Oshun that their kid needed to kind of be gotten under control. So Batala and Ochun tried to school him and educate him and discipline the best way they can. But Eshu actually started causing problems between them, where when Obatala would come home, Eshu would say, "Oh, mom said this, this, and this about you." And when Ochun would come home, he would say to Ochun, Obatala said this, this, and this about you. So Ochun got to the point where she got tired of him and she told Obatala, "I need you to get rid of this kid. I can't deal with him." Obatala was like, "But that's our son." She said, "Either you get rid of him or I'm getting rid of everybody. I can't deal with this no more." Now, mind you, this is all metaphoric, but we still do have to be careful, right? Now, mind you, Obatala said, "Well, I guess I'm going to get rid of the kids." So he took Eshu Laboni and he grabbed him and he started saying, "I'm going to take you and I'm going to throw you into the river because you don't know how to behave." And Eshu was like, "No, please, I'm pleading with you. Don't trust her. Don't believe her." And Obatala knew it was a lie, but Obatala couldn't deal anymore with the boy's vernacular. Like he was talking too much. He threw him, thinking he would make it to the river, and the boy fell flat in his face and died. So sad story, right? But that's why Eshu Laboni is mounted in a flat plate, right? So mind you, everybody has a different book, everybody has a different lineage and format, but Eshu Laboni, since time immemorial, has always been mounted with a flat face in a clay plate because of this story where he fell flat and his face basically became plain. So on the behavior of Eshu. In this sign, Eshu was overly critical. He was a gossiper. He would get involved in everything that had nothing to do with him. And because of it, it basically put him in a position to succumb to a fate that he did not desire. Being overly expressive and critical doesn't create anything positive, it creates animosity. And ultimately, the energies that be have a way of dispelling it. Obadala here killed the gossipers. So Ifa says we really want to avoid this kind of behavior. Ochun killed the gossipers is here as well. So it's very important to mind our business, study, and really provide the best products to be able to grow as a spiritual community, but not only within spirituality, but socially. If we're involved in other things as well, if it has nothing to do with us, let's mind our business and keep it moving because it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the Orishas are the ones who are meant to discipline, not the human beings, right? So it speaks of the importance of relationships, right? Not losing ourselves as man and woman just because we're parents, family. Make sure that we're stellar parents, but we're also stellar husbands and wives. Let's go out, let's enjoy life. Let's understand that through the natural course of life, our children are going to have their own lives one day, and that's okay. But we can't lose each other in the process. So date night is obligatory, guys. Try to get out there at least once a week, spend some couch time, maybe some Netflix, and we'll be all right. So yeah, that's all about that line Oshun.
All right, we got about 140 people in the chat here.
Holy smokes!
Shout out to
Drink some
Trinity.
water.
27 months. They've been a VIP member here.
Oh my God, son Trinity. God bless you, Papo. Any stories of Shango in this sign? Yes, absolutely. Shango, unfortunately, was actually present for the debacle of Ifa that was done to Eshu's son. Whether he was in on it or not, the paperwork really doesn't explain it. But he did redeem himself in Ofunabe because There is a story where Ofunabe wanted to initiate his son, and he was looking for the right person to do it. And the only person he trusted was Shango. And Shango did he fought the boy, initiated him, defeated all his enemies, defended him. And it was a very positive relationship where Shango is a huge focal point within this Odu. So the message from Shango here is be loyal, be accountable, and fulfill what we say we are. Because even though things became difficult for Ofunabe and his son, Shango still defended them, regardless of whatever came unexpectedly. So Shango here, he maintained his honor here. And there was some great lessons to learn from him. But it also speaks testaments and volumes to be careful who you're around, because Shango was at the Ifa they did to Eshu's son, and it was a debacle, and he ended up getting yoked up in all the nonsense and gossip and slander that came afterwards because it was a weak process. So that was Shango's role in this Odu. Can you speak on Oyekumbara briefly before I get into another pataki about Ofunabe? Oyekumbara is the Odu of the rodeo, right? It's the Odu where Eshu dominated the horse. Briefly, the horse would bully Eshu. Eshu was tired of it. Went to visit Orumila. Oyekumbara was revealed, where he was told to perform sacrifice with rope. He did, and the next time the horse tried to buck on him, he wrapped or inserted the rope into the horse's mouth, and it became the bit, basically. And since then, we've been riding horses, even though they're 4 times our size at least. So Yakumbara speaks of the importance of not being like the horse, to avoid arrogance and aggression, because it can lead us to being in a very negative position, even incarcerated. But we should be more like Eshu. We should learn how to defeat our enemies in a more ingenious way rather than just brute strength. There's other ways to handle things without losing prestige. Ofunabe, Obatala is a huge Odu here. I mean, a huge Orisha here. Ofunabe is known as Obatala's son. So we spoke about Eshu Laboni, but in this sign, Ofunabe was Obatala's son literally. And Obatala had a farm, right? And his son worked it and kind of lived off the land with his father and whatnot. And his father gave him everything basically, but his father told him, "Hey, my animals are mine." Right? So Obatala had this beautiful white goat, right? And Ofunabe, being disorganized and wanting all the things he can't have, decided one day he was going to eat his father's property, right? Well, he didn't realize that there was a curse on the goat that anybody that ate it would get, terminally ill. Colic, dysentery, basically whatever. He started getting horrible, horrible stomach pains. This Odu speaks of the importance of avoiding food poisoning, food allergies, making sure we're eating at places with high quality and hygienic standards, because this is an Odu where people got sick off of food and things got contaminated. So make sure you guys are careful with meat and things like that, making sure it hasn't turned before we consume it. But in this sign, Ofunabe stole his father's goat, and because of it, he's became gravely ill. So basically, he's dying in a bed. Obatala sees his goat is dead, right? The remains of it, and he sees his son is dying. So he goes up to his son. He said, "Son, what's wrong?" He said, "Oh, I had some bad jollof rice, and it hit me all wrong, and I think there's something really wrong with me. Please help me." And Obadala said, "Are you sure that you just ate jollof rice? Because, man, you'll never believe this. My goat is missing." He said, "Oh, father, I would never steal from you. I mean, that's ridiculous. I would never do that." And Obadala looked at him and he said, "You're a liar. I know you ate my goat. And from this day forward, I curse your stomach to never be able to ingest white things." So that's why ideally the animals that are offered to Ofunabe's deities or Orishas, other than Obatala in this case, of course, are black, right? And this is an Odu of lactose intolerance. The person has to be careful with dairy products, cheeses, milks, things like that, because they're all white in color, right? So this Odu says be very careful, make sure you're putting the right things, or more importantly, compatible things in your body, so that you reap the benefits and you don't go through anything uncomfortable, because Ofunabe speaks about the stomach all day long, right? So Very careful with that. And unfortunately, it also could speak of epidemics and things like that. Salmonella, E. coli, COVID, supposedly stemmed from, the pork or a bat or whatever they tell us. So be very careful with food handling and quality, and make sure you're protecting yourself. Anything on Eshu and the sign for the letter of the year? Absolutely. So Eshu Laboni was born here. It's an Eshu that should be mounted if you have Ofunabe, right? It's also in the Odu of Oturabara. But in this sign, Eshu wanted his son to become Babalawo, and he trusted Orumila, and Orumila did an improper process. So this Odu, when we're talking about Eshu, says once again, from a client standpoint, we need to be careful who we're trusting with our spiritual well-being or our well-being in general. This could be a doctor, a balao, a lawyer, a contractor. This is an odu of theft. This is an odu of unethical business practices, right? But from another standpoint, being orumila, making sure that we only take on work that we're prepared for. We're seeing a huge lack of preparation within our spiritual community as far as services. Babalawos that don't know how to perform at Bo, or Orisha that don't know how to properly rogate a head. And of course, we don't criticize. I mean, however people do things is completely up to them. But if you're going to accept clientele and you want to gain great results, make sure you take the time to be around people who actually know what they're doing so you can replicate it and possibly put your own swing on it to get even better results, right? By putting in that much more effort and study. But Ofunabe says if we're not careful, people are going to become progressively frustrated with the spirituality on a whole because either they're getting robbed, right, or they're being mishandled, or there's unethical behavior. We have to be very careful that we're not giving somebody money for a ceremony and then that person is taking the money or making up an excuse to not give us what we paid for. This Odu speaks of all of those things. So we have to be very careful because Ofunabe says the Orishas don't take such actions lightly because it represents them. And if they've done everything correctly, they don't want us sullying their reputation after thousands of years. Next pataki. Oh, any important herbs or adimus? So Ofunabe speaks heavily of the use of honey, right? This is the Odu of the honey badger, one of my favorite animals for sure. You like the honey badger?
Honey badger's vicious. You ever watch the videos on YouTube?
Oh man, all of that was born here. All of that was born here. So the honey badger was really tired of getting bullied, and he wanted to be able to defend himself, but a lot of people wanted to kill him, based on his behavior and his character or lack thereof. So he went to visit Orumila, and Ifa told him to perform sacrifice to Oshun with honey. So he looked at Orula and said, but the only way to get honey is in a beehive. Orula said, yeah. And he said, but bees sting. He said, yes, they do. He said, but if I get stung enough, I'm going to die. He said, well, you're going to die regardless. So you got to figure out what you're going to do. But this is what he was saying. So the honey badger said, all right. So he went up the tree and he basically just dove into the tree or into the, depending, because you could have a beehive in a tree, you could have it hanging. But usually, with them, they're so heavy, they go right into the core of the tree. So he's in there. He ate some, he smothered some, and he got some comb, and he's getting stung. He's getting stung real bad. So he got stung so bad that when he arrived at Ochung's temple, palace, whatever, as he was offering it to her, he died right there, right? So Ochung looked at his sacrifice and realized that he had realized that his conduct needed to better, and he was realizing that his actions really had an effect. And she covered him in honey, right? And he was able to start healing from it. All the benefits that honey has. I mean, the stuff never decomposes. And after 5 days, he resurrected. And Ochun was there, and Orula was there, and she said, I'm very proud of you because it took a lot of courage and a lot of humility to be able to know that you needed to do something better with your life. If you ever need me, the secret of Ofunabe is to take baths with water and honey, to apply honey to Ori, right? And the badger became the honey badger. That's in Ofunabe or Ofunara. Ofunara means he who sleeps, right? Or he who becomes indestructible through sleeping. And that's what happened with the honey badger. He basically slept away death because death came to get him, but because of the honey and how much Ochung, influenced death, and death wanted to impress her, she's like, that's my son. And he's like, all right, I'll let him live as long as he's always covered in honey, which, based on his name, he is. So if you look, the life of the honey badger is in the Odu of Ofunabe. Whether it's him getting the honey and getting stung to death, or getting bit by whatever snake and resurrecting, or doing the defensive aggressive retreat where he's basically sunning a lion. All of that is in the Odu of Ofunabe. So the Sodu says we have to have good character. We have to avoid conflicts and aggression with situations that have nothing to do with us. Once again, this is an Odu that says mind your business, right? So if we're able to do that and be upstanding individuals and ethical individuals within our respective communities, everything's going to go great this year. But if we go left and we veer off and we continue with bad habits, whether it's vices, whether it's, unethical practices, what have you, things are going to go very badly, right? Because Ofunabe is a very destructive Odu, being that the honey badger is a very destructive animal. But Ochung is a huge deity here. She is apex, along with Obatala, Orumila, Ogun, of course, Oya. These are the big Orishas here for sure. But every now and again, if you're feeling down, a honey bath this year is really great, Ofunabe says. So that's the biggest adimu there is the honey, specifically to Ochung or to Eshu, whatever Orishas you have available. It's pretty much compatible with anybody because of the story of the honey badger.
All right, we're about 155 people in right now.
Oh man,
We got more comments coming in.
All right, you mentioned it's a great year to do Ifa and Crown Orisha. How do you decide which one first in a couple that has both
coming in their signs?
Well, here's the thing, and this is more just kind of analyzing from a practical standpoint. So I have people come all the time. They receive hand of Ifa, man and woman. And it's identified that the woman could crown, but the man could do Ifa. So they say, Baba, who should do what first, right? So the reason I say that the gentleman should perform Ifa initiation first is because once he becomes Babalawo, he can do a couple things for his wife, right? Remember that Odiche says that the first client of the Babalawo is his wife. Forgive me. So it's saying that he could perform sacrifice for you. He could perform ebo for you. He could do your head rogations. He could literally be your professional, right? And yes, married people can rogate each other's head. That's in the Odu Oturache, right? As well as Osache and Obedi. So it's more productive that way. And usually, if things get rolling the right way, Ifa might pay for the Orisha process if you're trying to get that ROI. If not, it's always more productive because that way the gentleman could do things on behalf of his wife. So I would say that tell that gentleman to get Ifa done and start studying so he could really, make things happen.
Okay.
Any badakis about fog or illusions in this sign? Well, it does speak of the gases, right? In this sign, Ogun had a overaccumulation of methane within his stomach, right, or gas. And because of it, he had to literally cut himself open to be able to release it because his organic system was going to implode. So when you're talking about fog, depending on how it manifested, like when you read the Pataki, it literally says like smoke came from Ogun's belly, right? Because it was hot with all of the acid and the bile and things like that, The illusion here, when you look at Eshu Laboni, he acted one way with somebody and another with another. So also the illusion of his face being flat, so all of the themes are there, but once again, it's an Odu of trickery, scams, unethical behavior. We have to be very careful with our funds here, our reputations, our loved ones, making sure we're not bringing people around that, are not of our benefit, of our interest.
Okay.
Can you speak on Oyekumbara? We did.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Boru, I'm sorry.
Boop.
Is there any connection to the numerology year of the one? Guys, forgive me. I'm usually not stumped, but I'm not really big on numerology. If you could do a follow-up message, I might be able to elaborate more. But just based on that, Ofunabe, the number one, really doesn't vibrate. Peace and blessings. Can you please speak on the story where it speaks on the monkey with 9 tails from Awanichi D? Very briefly, the princess wanted a monkey of 9 tails. The father was told not to pursue this by Orula, but he did anyway with the Odu Obawani Chidi. They did Ebo to Ochosi and Ode. He hunted down the monkey, regretfully, because he saw that the monkey was a provider and protector for his family, and the princess was spoiled, right? In some versions, the monkey escaped. In other versions, Ochosi helped the monkey escape. But that Odu says we can't overindulge our children. We can't have everything we want all the time. And we can't just do things for money. We got to make sure there's money and it's right, because Ochosi went through a very moral internal battle with himself there based on the piece of work. So back to Ochung, Funabe. This Odu says the vulture flies over the hurricane. So in this sign, the vulture wanted to go to war with the hurricane. So needless to say, the vulture wasn't doing that great. And they went to Orumila and wanted some clarity because the hurricane was trying to interrupt the vulture from getting to its destination or goals. Ofunabe was revealed, and Ifa told him, yeah, perform sacrifice to Oya, and when this was done, Oya said, what's your predicament? And the vulture said, well, your son, the hurricane, has beef with me. He doesn't allow me to get to where I need to go. And Oya said, well, are you confronting him? And the vulture said, well, in so many ways, I'm trying to fly through and he doesn't move out the way. And she said, well, could you go higher? The vulture said, I could fly all the way to heaven if I want, but I don't want to have to do that every time I want to get around this guy. Oya said, the best war is the one we avoid, and it's the one we always win. And the vulture realized, it had been engaging with somebody that was beneath them. So the vulture said, all right. Ikole said, all right, I'm going to fly up. And the vulture flew over the hurricane. And the hurricane started saying, oh, you're scared. Oh, you're worried. Oh, this, that, and the third. And the vulture acted like it didn't hear him. And he just flew right over him. The ironic part was the hurricane disappeared because it wasn't based on anything tangible. And the vulture till this day flies closest to the sun in Olodumare. So in this Odu, Ifa says we must be like the vulture. We cannot pay attention to people that are not on our frequency level, who are not on our level, who are not up there. Because if you try to engage everybody that's beneath you, you're going to end up lowering yourself. Ifa says be above them. If they could do something to you, they would. So this Odu says be like the vulture and avoid situations here, because this is an Odu of very intense conflict, lethal conflict. And if you know that you don't have to engage somebody, and if you don't, they're just going to disappear and flake away, let them do that. Kind of like the vulture let the hurricane do, or Ochung let the hurricane do. And don't behave like the hurricane. Don't be uncomfortable. Don't be a point of disinterest. Go with the flow, right? But Ofunabe speaks of the importance of avoiding people who don't matter, so that prosperity and growth can keep happening, because the vulture kept going higher and higher and higher, and the hurricane stayed close to the water. So big lesson there. All right. Can you speak on Iwori with the bear? Are we talking about Iwori Mei? In that sign, the bear betrayed Orula because he was taking all the ebos and not fulfilling Orumila's wishes. So Orula told him the wrong thing, so that he would be in the place that he actually wanted the ebo to go. And when it was actually taken to the river, Ochung actually drowned the bear because he was trying to kill Orula and destroy him by not doing the ebos correctly for him. So it's an Odu of betrayal for sure. You always have to appear to be something you're not, right? To kind of keep people guessing or tell them the opposite of what you want them to think or do, so they can destroy themselves while they think they're destroying you. Right? Ofunabe. This Odu speaks quite a bit about religious tolerance. This is actually one of the Odus where Fa first manifested, right? The Bokonos are brothers of Benin who practice their ancestral system. I believe it's known as Ogega, right? Where they throw the three opeles backwards. And I actually saw semi recently, and this is why we really shouldn't speak about things we don't know, because we can insult somebody, unnecessarily, and we can make ourselves look foolish, right? Which seems to be a common practice. And, someone said, what is this nonsense? And it was a brother over there performing their divination the way they do, where they throw the three opeles and things like that. And unfortunately, someone had to come and correct him and say, hey, this is an ancestral system that might even predate ours. The Odu of Funnabe actually speaks of why the Ifa consultation within Ifa is done with one chain, but we pull out a main sign with two witnesses, kind of like in this year, Ofunabe came out, but there were two other signs to be able to identify the negativity or the positivity. But in Benin, they throw three chains, one per Odu, right? So Rumila in this Odu, he kind of was like, I appreciate that and I love that and I respect that. But I got things to do. He just kept it a buck. So he said, I'm gonna do all that with just one chain. So he always paid respect, even though he did things differently. So this Odu says we need to respect people even if they do things differently. And once again, if it has nothing to do with us, we have no reason to comment on it unless we're trying to make a dollar off of the conflict, which you're not going to be able to, if you're trying to put on a show. So Ofunabe speaks of tolerance, it speaks of respect, it speaks of real study and growth. Oromila here became a very traveled babalawo. It speaks of his slave Ominigun, who was performing so much Ifa work and all these different things that he didn't know what to do with himself. The most important thing is loyalty, respect, and humility. I mean, there's other patakis here. When we talk about loss, this Odu speaks of the importance of saying less to get more. In this sign, Ochosi was looking for a wife and he went for divination. Ofunabe was revealed where Ifa told him to perform a bow and take it to the forest. When he did, he saw a beautiful buffalo, and that buffalo actually removed its skin and was a beautiful woman. So when the woman left, he went and took the skin and hid. She came back looking for it. He said, are you looking for this? She said, yes. He said, well, I'll give it back to you if you marry me. And she said, I will, as long as you don't ever tell anybody my secrets. And he said, I never will. And she said, well, what are you good at? He said, well, I'm a great hunter. She said, okay, but you don't make no money. He said, no, I don't. I really don't know what to do. Like, I eat, then I give the rest away. She said, well, how about this? I'm Oya. Like, I have to do with the marketplace and stuff like that. You get the product and I'll sell it. So that started happening and his life changed incredibly. He had a beautiful wife. He had loving children now. He had assets and stability. And, it speaks of the importance of the other half. But people became very jealous of Ochosi because they were used to seeing him marginalized. And now he was this uberly successful man. So they wanted to know his secret. In some versions, it was his other wives, which is more of an Isheshe concept because Ofunabe also speaks heavily of a very similar story that's in the Odu of Osakuleya and Isheshe. In other versions, it was, the people of the town, but specifically in the Lukumi, it was his brother. And Orumila had told Ochosi not to drink. And one day his brother came over offering him a drink, and Ochosi didn't listen and drank. And his brother asked, what was the secret? How had he become so successful? And he said, well, my wife is a buffalo. The one thing he wasn't supposed to say. So the brother went back. It's an ugly part of the pataki. I won't say here. But it was to the point where, ultimately Oya said, I can never be with Ochosi again. He's shamed me beyond belief. So Ochosi went looking for her and he never found her again. So this Odu speaks of the importance of less is more. Keep your personal lives private. Don't get involved in other people's lives or situations that have nothing to do with you, because that's people who behave that way, they never progress. They kind of end up living at home forever with their parents or things like that. Like, if you want to really progress in life and do things, you have to focus and move with discretion. That's what successful people do. They don't talk about their results, they allow them to speak for themselves. So Chelsea here, he learned a very hard lesson the hard way, where he lost the woman of his dreams, he lost his family, all these different things because he didn't know how to say less. So this Odu is saying we need to speak less and do more. We need to say less and study more to be able to save our spirituality, because Ofunabe is a very detrimental Odu when there isn't preparation. So, but from another standpoint, if we're able to, it speaks of a lot of prosperity, a lot of happiness, a lot of compatibility, stability, real growth. Sometimes we have to metaphorically eliminate the family we're born with or the relatives we're born with to be able to create the family we need and want. And that's okay, because, we're all meant to be kings and queens in our own castles, but remembering always that the relationship is first and loyalty is key. You know? Questions, anything. I'm wondering, how does Ifa work under the Gregorian calendar? Well, I know the Ifa New Year, I believe, is in June. They have a 4-day week known as the Oshe. The Odu Abokana Fum speaks of the 7-day week and how each day represented different things. Like, for example, Monday was Ojo Aje, right? Or the day of money or economic prosperity. Sunday was the day of rest. I think Saturday was the day of triumph. It is mentioned, and it's actually an Isheshe verse that speaks of the 7-day week versus the 4. The O'Shea is a very productive thing. It's usually recommended for people who are beginning so they can learn how to throw obiabata and begin interacting with the Orishas and getting those results and beginning their apprenticeship. But for more, experienced, tenured priests, the O'Shea is something that, could be optional, right? So it really depends on whatever anybody wants to incorporate into their routine. But the most important thing is being on a routine, right? Making sure that you're holding yourself accountable, even if you do it the Lukumi way. Oh, I feed Orula on October 4th. Well, at least you're feeding him once a year, brother. God bless. Or, I take care of Oya on February 2nd or whatever of the other days now that Oya has, or whatever lineage you come from. That's perfectly fine as long as you're taking care of her, But at the end of the day, it's all about your personal routine based on your schedule. All of these other things are guidelines to help you stay organized and diligent. Very nice. Thank you very much.
This is very insightful.
Thank you very much.
This is cut off, so I'll read it once it gets.
For a person wishing to complete their hand of Ifa in Lukumi tradition within your spiritual house, what's the best
month to have the ceremony for this year?
I please forgive me. With the way our schedule works, it's kind of rotating. It's not that, like, for example, if you notice, Botanica Candles and More has never advertised a hand of Ifa. I don't post my hand of Ifas. I don't feel the need to. I'm at a stage in my career where the only confirmations I need are from the godchildren receiving with me and the people performing the ceremony with me and Norula. So that's why we really don't have a set time, or there isn't an ideal date. I will tell you that 2026 is very intense. It is very hectic. Um, it really comes down to when you have the funds, reaching out to Botanica Candles and More, whether it's through phone, email, what have you, and kind of getting an idea there. But I know for a fact, um, the first half of the year. If there is, it would be for the second half of the year. So, first come, first serve. So we really appreciate you even considering us or having that thought. We hope to be able to perform that for you the way we've done satisfactory for so many others. And it's a beautiful process that we get a centimeter better at every time.
Okay.
Can we speak on Owani Gunda? Yeah, Owani Dawang, interesting Odu, because he was very aggressive. And Ogun was like, I'm the most aggressive. So he started cursing Owani Dawang. Owani Gunda felt it. And he went for divination, where he first said he had to make offerings to Ogun with humility. He did. And Ogun explained, he said, you're pretty aggressive, but I'm Ogun. No one's, you're walking around here like you're you, but I'm me. So I don't like the way your voice sounds. So your name isn't Owani Gunda anymore. Now it's Owani Dawang. So basically that Odu says that we have to make sure we're very careful with our character and we have patience with ourselves and those around us, so that, there's never any misunderstandings and whatnot, because Ogun became offended by Owani Dawang's character and behavior, and specifically the way he spoke or the sound of his name. So it's not going to be necessarily anybody in the world. It's going to be the Orishas. We're going to hold the person accountable. So that's very key there.
These are longer here.
Oh man, one more before we get back to another pataki.
They're just saying thank you.
Oh, this is the Iboru. This is my first time in one of your live shows. Welcome. I just want to say thank you for the relatable way you explain.
You explain signs and their corresponding patakis.
Thank Orula. Orula's the man. He made it easy. He's may blessings be upon him always.
Yep. But go ahead. Yeah, we got. I'll put some more.
Righteous. So Ofunabe. Gosh, guys, a negativity of loss, and that sign or Ya lost her relationship. Family in the home is very key here.
Hold on. People are saying there's no sound here.
Oh no.
Hold on. It says we have sound. Hold on.
Live YouTube.
Yeah. Y'all do a mic check for me here. Hold on. I'm gonna raise something up. You might hear yourself talk.
Hello. Boru.
That's weird.
You guys hear us?
No. I don't hear me. Where'd the sound go? Hold on, just hang on, guys. Let me hit a sound here. Let's see if I hear that when it comes up. Someone said sound is good. Sound is good. Okay. Yeah,
We're back on.
I hope so. People saying they got sound.
All right, righteous guys.
All right.
Ofunabe.
But they said the Owani Ogunda got cut off.
Oh lordy, that's a long one. Owani Dawang. Basically, Owani Gunda's name bothered Ogun. So because of it, Ogun became frustrated and started cursing him or threatening that he was going to kill him. Owani Dawang, Owani Gunda went for divination with some Bawalaos. His Odu was revealed where Ifa told him to perform sacrifice to Ogun, which he did. Where Ogun told him, hey, I was about to eliminate you, and it's because I don't like your name. I don't like the way you're acting. I don't like the way you're talking. So I need all that to change. So your new name is Owani Dawang, which means Owani comes constructively, like he comes to create, right? And because of that, Ogun blessed him always, and they were able to move on. So this Odu says that our character is key, how we behave, how we interact with others. Too much bravado here really doesn't get far, and it has nothing to do with anybody else on earth, but the Orishas really hold the person accountable here for their behavior, and karma is a real thing in this Odu. So make sure we're just behaving soundly and courteously, and just live at peace, without trying to prove too much.
But yeah, everyone's saying they got sound now. So
all right, well, Ofunabe. I'm not sure how much longer we're going, Phil, but
we're at an hour. We got let's say another 15 minutes.
righteous. So Ofunabe, let me see which ones I still got. Yeah, why not? So in the Odu of Ofunabe, it speaks of the Orisha Obaluaye or Bawaluaye. And Bawaluaye had a habit. This Odu says we have to be very careful with alcohol and vices this year, family. It's a very big ewu or taboo. Everything in moderation, but please do not drink and drive. It's an Odu that doesn't assimilate this very well, or no vices or anything that could intoxicate the person to the point of belligerence, right? This Odu says that Bawaluaye had a habit of drinking, right? And because of it, he pretty much lost everything. So he went to his father Obadala's house asking for a place to stay. Obadala reprimanded him and chastised him, saying, I know why you're here. I'm not pleased. You're my son, so I'm not going to leave you outside, but you need to do the right thing here. So there's a curfew, right? So Obaluaye started, doing well, the curfew working. Obadala was pleased, but he couldn't handle his addiction. So therefore, he reverted back. He relapsed. And he started coming home at 2, 3 in the morning, and he would throw up in Obadala's bed and lay next to him. And it was just really grotesque, right? So one day he did it again after Obadala told him to never do it again. And Obadala got so annoyed that he literally kicked Obaluaye off of the etera, or the mat. And being that Obadala lived on a hill, Obaluaye, in his drunken slumber, rolled down the hill into the ocean and drowned, right? This Odu speaks of the importance of trying to be home, not to be out in wee hours of the morning. Be careful with alcohol or ingesting anything. This is an Odu of overdose. We have an epidemic here in this country that we need to be very careful with whatever is going on. But making sure that the more we're home, the better things will be. Because in this sign, this is an Odu of tragedy, unfortunately. It says that Ofunabe could die drowned, burned, car accident, tragedies, etc. It says that we have to be very careful and respectful of the people in uniform, right? Whether it's our police officers, firefighters, military personnel, and force and service. All of these themes are here in this Odu. And looking at the role that Obatala played, he was in a very difficult situation. He loved his son, but he hated the habit. So, sometimes we have to make things uncomfortable for the person for them to grow and elevate. But when we talk about a negativity of loss, Baluaye lost his life here because he had no control over his habits, right? Ofunabe is beautiful, has really beautiful aspects of what as well. It's a very prosperous Odu. This is actually the Odu of forgive me, Phil, it's the Odu of sperm, right?
Okay. Okay.
The male specimen, right? And where Ato, as it's known, became the most valuable of fluids within the body. So all of them went for divination: urine, blood, saliva, and sperm. They all were identified um, with the Odu of Ofunabe, but the only one to perform sacrifice was sperm. So, Orumila said, "Who is the king of fluids? Who is the king of liquids?" And urine said, "I am." He said, "No, you aren't. You fall on the ground and nothing grows." And then saliva said, "I am." He said, "You don't do much either. You don't create anything, you know." And blood said, "I am. Surely I am. I carry oxygen through the body." He said, "Yeah, but as soon as you hit earth, you die." So sperm said, "Is it me?" He said, "Absolutely, sir, because you're the only one that when you arrive at your goal, you create people." Right? So in this sign, it says, if we're not trying to have a baby family, make sure you take all precautions because this is a very fertile Odu. And if it does happen, God bless you and congratulations. It's the greatest gift God has given us is being able to make more people.
Okay. All right.
All right, talk to me. Anything on Obesa? Obesa says do things completely and don't make the same mistake twice. Obesa says the secret to life is not making the same mistake twice, right? And do things completely. If we left school, finish school. If we have pending ceremony, finish that. Don't be somebody that leaves things halfway because it's not good for the person's emotional state and it can lower their self confidence in that Odu. Make sure we're always refining ourselves and educating ourselves because Obesa is somebody that, if they're not careful, they become understimulated mentally and it could lead to situations, god forbid, in advanced stages of life, a Parkinson's, a dementia, but in the youth, just overall frustration and whatnot. We have to be studying and learning. Besides a very intelligent person, as long as they choose to pick up the book. All right, thank you. Egungun himself or specific Eguns in Ofun Nabe. Egungun, absolutely. I mean, it speaks of the ancestors here. When we go over the pataki of the sperm, it represents our ancestors and our lineage. They say that the spirituality of that actually has to do with Odudua being our primordial ancestors. So ultimately, all of our Egun derive from Odua. We are all Omodua, right? So definitely, Odua is really big here because he's all of our fathers, right? Obatala is big here, but that's usually how Egungun is interpreted within Ofunabe or Ofunara.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. People are just commenting that they can hear fine.
Awesome.
They had to
We
leave
have
and-
sound.
Yeah, they had to leave and come back.
Righteous.
Hold on, let me go back to the questions here. Here we go.
I'm new to ATR, so we only feed the Orisha annually. Sorry if it's a silly question. No such thing. It depends. Like, for example, somebody who's a Wani Virete in their Ifa, um, they should be feeding Eshu every 2 weeks if they're about allowed. The Odu Osarosung says that Ifa eats every Oshe. So you have certain situations where they eat more frequently, but for somebody at the hand of Ifa level, there's no reason I think for their Orishas to be eating more than on an annual basis. When you get into more priesthood rites, whether it's Olorisha or Babalawo, at that point you may need more frequent options because you might have bigger problems. Maybe you have an enemy, maybe you just have bigger goals, maybe your Odu is manifesting heavier. Any of those things. So baseline conventionally, yes. No such thing as a silly question.
Okay.
Oh man. I'm waiting for somebody to come up to me in traffic and yell that at me.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Do you know where this is? No, I thought you knew the way. Someone did that to me recently.
Are you serious?
Yeah, one of my godsons. He was like, "Wait, you know how to get over here?" I'm like, "Nah." He's like, "You lied to me."
Oh, that's so funny. All right.
Great song.
Okay, here you go.
Borui Boya, what is the benefits to offering Eshu or any of the Orishas yams? Blessings, Miha. So the yam is a symbol of fertility. So it's actually could be used if like a woman's trying to conceive, or it could have to do with goals. Like we put it in the ground and something grows from it. So you could offer it to the Orisha to accomplish goals. Overall, all of the Orishas love yam. It's the staple carbohydrate over there, apart from like jollof rice. So all of those reasons, depending on the Orisha, it could have different effects. But to Eshu, yeah, all day. You could get all of those things.
Okay. Yellow white.
You have on the white too, very appropriate. Yes, I'm trying to purify my wardrobe this year. I'm doing much more white. My wife gifted me these beautiful white Air Force Ones. Phil likes them. Apparently, these are old people's shoes now, right, Phil?
Yeah,
That's
that's the truth.
I remember I used to be able to get these for $80. Oh my God.
Bernie says 2026 be healthy.
Sir, thank you very much. That should be everybody's resolution, and that is a huge point in Ofunabe's longevity, whether we're talking about the male specimen, whether we're talking about putting the right things in our bodies, staying active, being careful with parasites and bacteria and outbreaks and things like that. Absolutely. Guys, don't forget the coupon. Get in the
Yeah, I'll put it up there one more
yeah.
time. before we
Thank
get
you,
out of
Baba.
here.
Anything you can offer on Osadi? I see Osadi, but you put the 5-7 there, so I'm not sure if the 5 was supposed to be a 9. Are you talking about in the shell, or are you talking about in Ifa?
All
Because
right,
that changes things a little bit.
All right. Well, let's move on real quick.
Baba, is this the letra from Miguel Febles? Yes, it is. That is the one that I follow. Our fountain of knowledge, Beto Berosung, was one of the organizers there for the longest time. His teacher was Miguel Febles' brother, Panchito Feble, and his Yubona was Luciano Canto Iwaribobe. And he was the teacher of my godfather's teacher, Kata Iobe. And, he passed away recently. So since I've been involved, the Casona or Miguel Febles Dia de Octubre has always been La Letra del Año. There's always been two, in my opinion. Well, maybe, in Africa, they have, Baba Popola pulls out his, which is wonderful. I think he's in Ekiti. I think he does it. Then you have the world one in Okeitashe. And then, over here, in Cuba, it was always the Casona, and then the Asociacion has one as well. So there's always been kind of a duality, but I've always followed the Miguel Febles Commission because my lineage literally derives from those people. We're not from the house of Miguel, but Beto, based on his family and their relationship with the Febleses and his relationship with Panchito, that's just where my loyalty lies. You know what I'm saying? And Lázaro Cueta is still there, and there's brothers in the photo that I've had the pleasure of meeting and have actually been in ceremony of mine. So all gentlemen, all prepared, all ethical. You know what I'm saying? So great stuff. Yeah. But it is the Miguel Febles Odu for sure. But all of them are great. Shout out to all the brothers who, are trying to, take a stand and do all the ceremonies the right way to be able to pull out a Odu for their area. I think that's beautiful with all of their different associations and things like that. And more power to them. God bless.
All right. So that question that we asked, they said in the show.
Okay, so Sadi in the show is Osa. Being that the double letter doesn't, doesn't translate, right? So Osa says, there's so many proverbs there, but usually Osa says a whisper goes into the ear and turns into a tornado. So this Odu says we have to be very careful who we listen to. We can never listen to gossip. We can't get advice from everybody because not everybody has good intentions for us. Seek out mentors and guides that really care about you, and we have to be very careful with anxiety and OCD and things like that, interrupting our daily quality of life. But Sa is a very creative person, very intelligent person, somebody that comes up with things that are innovative. It's just a matter of being organized. Not everything that comes into our mind is worth paying attention to. And that's what the Odu of Osa, or the number 9, says within the Erin Dilogum. What's your opinion on Yoruba New Year, and do you do the ebos prescribed from the continent? No, I do not. I think the Yoruba New Year Odu is amazing. Shout out to all the brothers there. I love looking at both of them. I remember when COVID was going on, I think Ogundavede came out here and Obedwa came out there, and they both spoke of when those two Odus were essential in ending the global epidemic. So we've been here before as a population. I don't do any of the ebos from La Letra del Año, guys. La Letra del Año is done by the association, and that ebo was done right there. It's been done already, part with the drummings and all these other things. That is something done on behalf of the association for the world. What I recommend everybody do is get your reading of the year, right? So you can find out what's going on in your world, which is your Ori, right? Because you could do all that stuff from La Letra del Año and nothing works. But as long as you do the stuff that Ori prescribes, everything will be lovely. If you want to do both and you can do both, I'm not going to stop you. But bare minimum, make sure you at least get your reading done, or you're doing it both from your sign of initiation or hand of Ifa or Ifa, so that you can deal with you. Because one thing is the world and another thing is you.
Baba knows the way.
Hey. All right, where are we? Boruboya. Anything on the Odu Odio Gunda and what the person with Ikofa came to Aye to do, especially as an Oni Shango? Someone with Odio Gunda, child of Shango, came to be initiated into Shango. Because in that sign, Shango wanted their child to be Olorisha. Right? That's the famous story when they did Ifa to Shango's son without his knowledge. It wasn't that Shango's son couldn't be a Baalao, it was just he wanted to be involved. And actually, Odio Gunda has a very similar story to this one of Ofunabe, where she pushed the issue of doing Ifa to the boy when Shango was like, this isn't the moment of the time. But in that sign, the child of Shango was meant to be an excellent parent, an understanding parent, to have a healthy relationship with transparency and stability. Because in that sign, Shango and Oya had a very heavy rift, and it usually happened over their children. So usually it stems from there. If we can get that coordinated, everything else is blissful. Good Odu.
Last couple ones.
All right.
Before we get out of here, don't forget in the comments, we have a pinned comment for the Light Within.
See you guys there.
Yeah, it's pinned in the comment, you guys. $100 off. So, here's one of the last ones here.
For our reading, do we bring down our crown? So here's the thing. Everybody has different methods, right? Some people like to get read on an annual basis with the shell, which is perfectly fine. Some people like to get read on an annual basis with the opele. It's perfectly fine. The Odu Barakoso says, technically, the Odu of the year should be pulled with the king. This is the only Odu that speaks of the Odu Abaye, or the Odu of the year for the person, personally, because it says that the other divination methods couldn't see that far. So if you really want a legitimate Odu of the year, it's best with the king. If not with the king, ideally with Ifa. But that's not to say we shouldn't do the one with the Dilogun either, If you want to know what your Orisha has to say to you, absolutely, drop the shell and see what comes out, especially if you're going to feed it and all those things already and you have a great Oriate contact. But that does not necessarily replace the Odu that Ifa is trying to give you, because if you notice, there's not one Odu in the Erindi Logun that speaks of the Odun Tuntung, or the Odu of the year, right? But there are numerous in the Ifa corpus that do, being that the Erindi Logun is 16 Odus and Ifa Oracle is 256. The Odu Abaye, or whether it's the letter of the year, like we're talking about now, or the Odun Tuntung, which is the personal, fresh new Odu for the person, is in the Odu of Obetwa, when they pulled the letter of the year, and Obaradila. Obarakoso speaks of why it should be done with the king, ideally. So it really is up to you and your habits. I mean, if you want to speak to your guardian Orisha, that's fine. But one point I will make up is your guardian Orisha is going to speak through that Odu of Ifa as well. So bringing down the guardian Orisha on an annual basis is not necessary. And you don't have to feed it every time you divine with it either. But if you're going to feed it and you want the deity to speak, you can. But the concept that we have to feed an Orisha every time we want the Orisha to talk, that's not true. If any initiated person wants clarity on that, I can tell them why that's not necessary, but I won't express it here because it speaks of sacred materials, right? But that Orisha was already fed when it was born. So it's up to you.
You got any final words about
Oh man. Ofunabe, Ofunara. Guys, I enjoy this process so much. The opportunity to speak about the Odu of the Year is very humbling for me because that organization means so much to me. And, just the gentlemen that came out of there, just absolute juggernauts of Ifa practice, that were the fountains of our knowledge. This Odu, if you look it up at first glance, it's going to worry you because it's a very aggressive Odu. It's a very intense Odu. Think of the honey badger growling, right? Um, but if you're able to avoid gossip, negativity, um, anything like that, haterade, any of that, you're gonna have an amazing year. Ofunabe is a very prosperous Odu. Like this could be the best economic year for all of us. It could be the most loving year for all of us, the most stable year for all of us. But we have to avoid the low vibrational behaviors that are not going to allow Orisha Aje to bless us. There's a beautiful verse in Ofunara that speaks of when Aje blessed the person, right? But the only people that Aje blesses are the ones who have Iwa, because that is who she is. She is Iwa, right? Yaile Iwo, right? The mother of the land of Iwo, the mother of good character, right? So as long as we can maintain that energy will be around us and we will prosper and enjoy life in ways we never imagined through Ifa. This is a spirituality that works and has been working since the dawn. So I expect great things this year. I've met people and initiated people with this Odu that are doing amazingly. So it's not so much what's on the paper, it's what you interpret up here. All right, guys, study hard, live righteously, and it's been a pleasure to look at the light together with all of you. See it.
see you guys later?
Boy,
Baba knows the way.
All right, so I'm gonna let you hear one more La Letra de Año interpretation because there was, like I said, different Odus, different people, different places. Take what you want, spit out the bones. But let's go. So this is what came out in this La Letra de Año.
Our Ucha Ifa channel. Today we will delve into the sacred message with Humila brought to Cuba and the world in this 2026.
Now this
The
is
priests
based
of
on Cuba.
Ifafa have gathered, and the ruling locked that will mark destiny for the next 12 months is Ogun. This is not just any sign, it is an urgent call to coherence, intelligence over violence, and above all, to care for the internal. The prophecy is encouraging, but conditional. I will go to Arakwal the wolf Orumila, the good of firm health and longevity by the hand of Orumila. But how do we maintain that well-being when the sign tells us about wars that cannot be won? What does it mean that one governs together with Ochun? Say, because we are going to break down point by point the economy, health, politics, and relationships based on the sacred scriptures of Ogunda or Trump. The great metaphor of this year is the proverb Gunda Trumpo radio. In the blacksmith's house, a wooden knife. What is IFA telling us with this for 2026? It speaks to us about personal negligence. It warns us about those people who are light for the street and darkness for their home. This year, the danger lies in solving everyone's problems, those of your neighbor, your friend, those at work, while your own life, your health, and your family fall apart due to lack of attention. IFA says that we have the tools to succeed, but due to carelessness, we end up using useless resources.
Have you noticed that even though I'm doing a whole nother reading from a whole other location, it's saying the same thing? That's what's crazy. It's crazy.
The first lesson of 2026 is to prioritize yourself. Fix your house first. Let's get into the social and behavioral arena. Ogunda Trump is blunt. Alcohol is enemy number one this year. The scriptures tell the story of a young man who almost lost his life in a trap for following a friend to drink. For this 2026, the production of alcoholic beverages is not a whim, it is a survival measure. The sign warns that under the influence of alcohol, irreparable mistakes are made that can lead to pressure or death. The text says, "This is an era where friendships lead you to make mistakes." This year, you should be extremely selective with your social circle. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. There are warnings of close pressures and people who incite you to violence. Be careful with justice. The second group warns us that you are always being watched. This is a year where you tend to run afoul of the law. IFA recommends being and preparing safeguards against the police or legal problems. This is not the time to engage in illicit activities. Justice will be relentless with the children of this sign. On the emotional and family level, the sign is profound. First, the woman. If you are a woman and you are seeing this, the sign indicates agreement with your partner. It speaks of thoughts of separation, and if it advises being careful before making drastic decisions to avoid greater tragedies. For men, there is a warning of danger with married women. The sign speaks of traps due to adultery that can cost you your life. Promiscuity here is paid dearly. Salvation lies in the mother. Here it is born that through the mother, one can do good to the children. The story of the sign tells how a son was saved from death thanks to his mother going home and making a sacrifice for him while he was in danger. In this 2026, the blessing of the mother, whether biological or religious, is the most powerful shield. If your mother is alive, honor her, take care of her, and ask for her blessing. From beyond the grave, win her with offerings and masses. She is your connection to salvation this year. Be careful with children. Beware of child abuse. The cycle warns that excessive physical punishment of a child can bring misfortune to the home. Be patient. The prophecy is about health. I'll go there, but we must guard her. Logan Trumpo specifically marks problems with the eyesight. The sign mentions myopia or visual problems. It is recommended to go to the ophthalmologist, especially for children who complain of headaches. Nervous system and head, stress, and internal violence generate constant headaches. Digestive system. As we mentioned before, the body will reject excesses this year. Excessier. Well-being comes hand in hand with Ramilla. This indicates that health depends not only on medical professionals, but also on carrying out religious sacrifices. Let's talk economy and politics under the motto, speaks of the war that will not be won. What does this mean for your business and your life? It means that 2026 is not a year for head-on clashes. It is not a year for arrogance or imposing yourself by brute force. Whoever tries to win a war by force, in Ogundo, Trump loses. The economic strategy must be intelligence and diplomacy. Let's remember that Chun accompanies gun. If you have a labor conflict, negotiate. If you have a debt, restructure. The sign says a well-placed nail is hard to remove. This refers to securing your positions, your savings, and your jobs. Be firm, but not aggressive. Envy. The text warns. The person is greatly envied for the way they dress and live. The 2026 event, keep a low profile. Do not hold back your earnings. Envy is the bear that surrounds you. Success requires movement. If you want to move or relocate to improve your finances, you must consult IFA and make the B, or the change will be a failure. To close, let's get practical. What should we do? The governing events are you, work strength, and ocean. Love, sweetness, the river. The flag is green with riviteto, work and voices marked. For warriors, Ogan must be reinforced. Sen does not order to put a gourd of water on it and to attend to it constantly. The Iron Horse is mentioned as a fundamental shelter. A loaded iron horse that lives together with Ugun. This symbolizes tireless workforce and the safe journey. Offerings. There is talk of a sarako to Olafin or his deities. Cleansings. The letters alb include sea, water, and river. Water, water. This symbolizes the union of natural forces to clean the path. Prophetic prayer. Remember the prayer of Ogundo Trompaba. Tota of Fufun Albade. We ask Batala, who greatly protects the children of this sign, to give us the intelligence to not lose our heads due to violence. And before closing, I want to give you a hidden gem in this sign that teaches us that there is no written destiny that cannot be changed with faith. They say that on this path, death was hungry. No matter how much he searched, he could not find anyone to take. He consulted with Onumila and he told him to go to a distant land where people were born sick. Happy, death moved and began to feed on the lives of those people. In that same land lived a pregnant woman. Sensing danger, she went to Ormila's house. The oracle was clear. Your child comes with a destiny short. Death is waiting for you. You must make a sacrifice. But there was a serious problem. The woman had no money. She was in ruins. What did she do? She persisted, went to the street and asked her relatives or neighbors for help. She collected coins, coin by coin. With everyone's effort, she managed to make the bow. Orumila, moved by his faith, ordered Neburi, the guardian of the conscience of destiny, to personally accompany that girl to be born. When the girl was born, a fever attacked her. Death rubbed his hands, waiting for the end. The mother cried desperately. But then Anabor intervened, took the girl in his arms, took her to the altar to clean her and returned her to her mother, safe and sound, invisible to the eyes of death. What does this teach us for 2026? Choice is powerful. Sometimes salvation does not depend on how much you have, but on how much you move. That mother saved her child not because she was rich, but because she had the humility to ask for help and the determination to do so, of not taking no for an answer. This year, if you find yourself cornered, if you feel that death, whether physical or death of business or relationship is making you, do not keep your pride. Seek support. Make sacrifices. Move. For Junrupo tells us even if you were born with a difficult destiny, sacrifice and spiritual guidance can rewrite your story. Religious family, 2026 is a year of retrospection. Do not be a blacksmith with a wooden knife. Do not fix the lives of others while yours burns. Move away from the bottle. Hug your mother or her memory. Take care of your eyesight. And above all, do not fight wars that you cannot win. Use your head, not just the machete. If you follow this advice from Ifa and Oromila, health and firmness will be yours. That has been all for today.
Let me tell you guys how true this is. Let me tell you how true this is. Listen, okay? 2 days ago, it's the 4th. So Friday, I was doing DoorDash. And I got challenged. A guy, I'm gonna play the video. I'm gonna play this video, and I want you to see how I didn't even hear this Odu. I had no idea this Odu existed, but something came over me. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this, and I'm gonna show you some real life application of this that happened to me. This is crazy. It's like, what? I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, what? I'm blown away. Watch this. Okay, I made it longer. Okay, I didn't know that there was a 60-minute thing. I haven't used TikTok in a long time. Sorry, guys. But story time, part 3. How I almost got arrested at Dollar General. Okay, yesterday, part 3. So I'm like, okay, is you know, he tell me, I'm like, is there a cart? I'm like, what? You know? So there's no carts. I'm like, what? What do you mean it's no carts? This is a grocery store. It has groceries. You have carts. People put, if they have too much, they have to be able to put things into the cart. So he gets smart, you know. Hey, didn't you hear me the first time? You didn't hear me the first time when I said we ain't had no. Are you talking to me like you don't lost your mind? Can't be talking to me. He's like, yeah, I'm talking to you. You know, him and his coworker are just leaning up against the wall casually. I guess they just don't feel like doing something today. I don't know what was going on, but they were just they looked like they was hot. The one lady sitting there, she looked like she took a perk or two. He high. They both look hot. So I'm over here just trying to do my dang thing. I showed him the DoorDash app. I said, look, I'm just trying to DoorDash. I'm trying to just do this order here. You know, and that's why I was asking for a cart. Can I just take this cart here? He says no. So there's a cart full of like stuff. And I'm like, okay, you're saying you don't have any carts, but there's like 3 carts sitting right here full of like groceries. Can I just like use this cart to finish out my DoorDash? No. And then I said, well, I'm just going to just use this cart. You know, I'm like, he's like, I'm going to call the police on you. I'm like, bro, this dude is fucking tripping. Like, you're going to call the police on me because I'm trying to just finish out, just shop? Like, what? Finally, you know what? I brought my phone out and I recorded. I said, you know what? You're treating me really jacked up. I don't understand what's going on. Like, you're tripping, bro. And so he just like, yeah, he's just like, I don't have to put up with you or whatever you're talking about. Whatever, get out. And you know, of course, me, you know, I'm saying, you know, us black, you know, when we get a certain age, we like, let me talk to your manager because you tripping. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what's your name? You know what I'm saying? Because I need to talk to the manager. Well, how you're behaving, this is not, you don't need to have no job the way you're acting like this. It's crazy. I am the manager. Anyway, so just in order for me not to end up in prison and jail, you know what I'm saying? Because like the old me, all 3 of them carts, like that whole everything around me would have been knocked down. Whatever laziness they was feeling at the moment, honey, it would have ended because they would have to pick all that shit. But I had to chill out because my daughter, Aset, was still sitting there. She's mom, and she knows that I have a jacked up temper, and she knows how things could just escalate with me, okay? It'll escalate real quick. So I had to assess the situation. Even though I went back and forth, I, you know, recorded it, and I'm going to play the recording for you on the next video will be the recording so that you guys can see. Because by the time I got through, I was just like, I had to leave because I was fixing to, it was escalating. My voice was escalating. He was just like on something. I don't get, because he high. He clearly is high at work. You can tell the way he just sitting up there just like, don't nobody care. I'm the manager. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. You got to, well, bye, ma'am. Bye. Bye. You know. And, you know, I said, yeah, bye. Because I don't think that this guy really, you know, these people that be at these stores, you know, he might have had a pistol or something like that. But, honey, I just would have just ransacked that whole store and he would have had to clean it up. And then the thing is that his car was right outside. Or the other lady's car. And listen, the way I used to be, before cameras and all this video surveillance, honey, that car would have been messed up. That whole place would have been ransacked, and I would have been gone. If I didn't have my daughter there, honey, I would have knocked everything down. I would have flattened that bitch tires. Probably hit the windows. The way that he was talking about, just my temper, how it used to be. I would have, and then I wouldn't even care. I would have probably took the little case or whatever. I just would have got a little vandalism. Like, whatever. No, I don't have to fight him. I know how to destroy other shit and I know how to inconvenience a motherfucker. But I'm a new person. I left. I left in peace. I told him to fuck off a couple times. But trust me, the way that my temper normally is the way that he, like this dismissive attitude, honey, you being lazy, whatever it is that you think that you doing, whatever this attitude is you think you got, honey, I would have, listen, you would have just had to clean up. You would have had to fix your car window, fix your tire. You would have cleaned up that mess I would have made. But I have changed, you guys. Now I know that something within me has changed at the core. Because, honey, like it, but I had to end my door. I had to end my night and just bring it down. Because trust me. Woo! But anyways, I didn't go to jail. But I'm going to play you the video of the part that I captured. Just this asshole being an asshole. And hopefully, it's over there. He's at the DoorDash over there in Balch Springs off of, I'm going to find out what the street it is. But it says DoorDash over there in Balch Springs. And if y'all know this guy, I don't know what this name is, but I need to figure out how to find this guy and report his attitude to his manager. Because that the way it is, like, dude, these people don't even be knowing customer service. I don't even know how they have jobs half the time, bro. Now, I get it. You ain't getting paid that much, but come on, bro. Like, man, I'm thinking maybe there's something going on with the carts, right? Maybe people are leaving the carts outside and they're just too lazy to go outside and recover the carts. Maybe people are taking the carts away. Whatever the reason is to why they don't have carts, it's beyond me. But I want to ask Dollar General, do y'all know that y'all don't have carts at this location, at this Dollar? I'm gonna mention the name of it. I'm gonna find the actual street of it. I'm gonna put it in the thing when I get a chance. I'm in my car about to DoorDash some more, but when I finish like this story, I'm gonna give you the exact location of the Dollar General. It's in Balch Springs, right on St. Augustine's. Not Elon Road. It starts with an A. But I'm gonna find out the name right now because I've been so many places DoorDash. I don't forget. But it's in Balch Springs and it's a small DoorDash. Actually, I have a picture of the DoorDash. I'm gonna play of the actual Dollar General in Balch Springs. If you guys recognize it, Balch Springs, Texas Dollar General. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna finish this thing up. This is part 3. I'm gonna do a part 4. And I'm going to give you the location and everything. And play the video where the dude was being an asshole. Peace. And I was being an asshole too. I was being an asshole kind of too. You gonna hear me being an asshole. Because I'm like, because at a certain point, I just like started getting with him too. Like, God dang it. So watch this. To order these things for DoorDash. You guys have no carts. I asked you once. You have a good day. I asked you once, and then you said no, and I said, I'm like, what? I thought you were joking at first. I thought that you were joking at first, but then when you said it twice, I just couldn't believe that DoorDash, a Dollar General wouldn't have any carts. So I asked it twice, and you got smart with me for no reason. Then when I said, well, can I use a cart like this cart here that actually has stuff in it, but I could just order to get the stuff I need? You told me no because you just want to be a jerk about it. So I asked you what your name was so I can contact your supervisor because of how you are treating me, and that's not how you treat a customer.
Did you get all the information for your camera?
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Can I speak to your ma'am? Do you know what the general manager? Okay. So no, I would like to speak to. Listen, I don't know what you're confused about. You're not going to treat me like this. I didn't do anything wrong to you. So you're a very rude. You don't need to have a job. The way that your behavior is not conducive to a person that needs to be working anywhere.
Your opinion means so much to me.
It don't matter. But you're an asshole. You're being a complete asshole, sir.
Okay, your opinion means so much to me.
Well, you're going to be on. Well, smile, honey. You're on Candid Camera. I'm going to upload this shit to YouTube. I have 60,000 subscribers, nigga. I have. No, yeah.
When you explained the whole situation after I knew I was on camera.
Yeah, of course.
How you were holding, I knew I was on camera.
Yeah, and you're being an asshole for no fucking reason.
Okay, but have a good
and I'm gonna call your fucking. No, you've been talking to me crazy, nigga.
Again.
You've been talking to me stupid. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. Fuck you.
I have yet to call you anything.
No, yeah, but you are a nigga. You are a black ass nigga. Fuck you.
Watch your mouth and find you somewhere else to go. You keep quiet.
Child, listen. I wanted him to walk towards me and say some more shit. But listen. And then they'll do talk about like it was escalating. I was ready to escalate it. I wanted to fight that nigga. I wanted to fight him. I'm like, because I didn't do nothing. I came in there and I said, hey, there's no cards. And he's like, so didn't you hear me the first time when I say what he got smart with me? Like, bro, I'm just trying to like do DoorDash, not fucking child. But I left. I left. He told me, watch your mouth and honey, watch your mouth. Like, well, what I could be like, well, what you think to do if I don't watch my mouth? I mean, I could have got real crunk, trust me, in that place. But I just walked on out. I said, say, Mom, Mom. I heard a little voice. Because at first I couldn't even hear her. I was so angry and so mad, like about the anger was seething. And she, and the whole time, Mom, Mom, Mom. And that little voice was like, Mom, Mom. And eventually I could hear it. And so, oh, my daughter's here. Oh, I almost forgot that I was here with my daughter here because I was about to, because I really wanted to really like, okay, so what you fixing to do? Child, y'all listen, y'all don't know who I am and how crazy I am. Like for real, like I want if my child was not there, she saved my life, y'all. And I would say the Orisha, the ants, everything saved my life because I swear to God, I would have turned all three of them cars. It was three. It was a cart right in front of me, cart behind me. I would have walked to the other side, slammed that one down, this one down, the next one down, and walked out that bitch. And probably knocked over every water thing, and there's probably all kind of cameras. But my mind, and then I actually sat outside that bitch. I sat outside for about like 5 minutes before, because I was like, my daughter was like, Mom, you know that. Thank God for my child. Thank for my child, because honey, I even asked my own child, like, is there anything sharp in here? Because I wanted to just go outside and just stab a few. There was a, I knew that there is one of their cars. Honey, I wanted to stab the tires out that bit. If I would have had something sharp, a peak, whatever, I would have just slammed. Like, and I had a flashlight. Didn't know I had it. Thank God I didn't realize it. Because I would have just fucked this whole car. Like the anger that was seething through my vein. Cause like how like who the fuck are you talking to? I just wanted to like shop and do my DoorDash. You fucked up my whole DoorDash shit. You know, I was pissed, y'all. But God, my daughter, the ancestors, whatever it was, stopped me and said, just go on ahead and something just took my hand, just walked me the hell up out of there because I was like, because it was escalating. It was escalating. And trust me, nobody want to see me escalate because when I escalate, shit gets destroyed, knocked over, fucked up, you know. So yeah, I left. But trust me, in my mind, I wanted to ransack that whole spot. But it's interesting with the Odu where it talks about like, listen, don't get into unnecessary arguments and fighting with somebody. Because I wanted him to step forward and be like, hey, in my mind, I was waiting for him to do it. And something was like, no, no, no. Take your ass and go get the hell on and just go home. Go home. Just chill. Yeah, it's not that important. But trust me, I mean, whew, any other time it would have been on and popping. My daughter wouldn't have been there. But God, let me tell you, things happen for a reason at the right time. I just know not to go to that particular place at any time because I swear to goodness, if I ever go back there, I swear it will happen. I will knock down some shit. I will be on the way out ransacking that bitch. Like, cause I actually considered like going back there, and like this is out of my mind. It's crazy. I was like, man, when I dropped my daughter off at home later that night, like I went straight home after that. But honey, I was really thinking about going back to that bitch and just busting out some time, just being an asshole. I said, let me just take my. I just went to bed. I just went to sleep. That's why y'all ain't see me in a couple days. I said, you know what? Let me just go to bed. So yeah. Um, but that's what the Odu is talking about is not catching yourself up. Because I was out at night and I end up in jail. I would have ended up in jail. Once I would have did that, they would have probably got my license plate off the camera and then came straight to my house and knocked on my door, and I would have been in jail. So, God is good. Shouts out to the ancestors and the Risha, everything that helped me that day to like not engage how I wanted to, because I swear to goodness, I wanted to jump over that counter. Listen, over a cart, and really it's not even that important. It's just that, like, how dare you disrespect me over something so stupid. So therefore, like, that my mind was just racing. So yeah. Anyways, guys, yeah, that's what happened to me. Yes, let ignorance stand alone. Yes, yes, yes. Don't be that but trust me, it's in me. We all got a little nigratuity within, a little nigrosaurus. You know what I'm saying? We all got a little bit of nigrosaurus within us. Like, he thought he was doing something, but honey, if he only knew what lied beneath my back and forth was a level of rage. It was so, honey. I wanted him. I was ready to fight his ass or whatever. Trust me. I was waiting. I was hoping he would come towards me, because trust me, I was about to fight that nigga. I was like, listen, you have no idea, because I will fight you and everything over nothing, just petty. I'm ready to fight you like over like a cart. Why don't y'all got no damn carts? Just stupid. So I just wanted to show y'all that, to show, because this happened right after New Year's. And exactly how the Odu talks about is that you have to like have a certain level of when you are on a certain level, you can't cut yourself down to be ready to like be dealing, because this guy is clearly not on my level. Why am I? But I like cut my little self down a little bit just to argue with him back and forth. When he said I ain't got no cards or whatever, I'm gonna call the police on you because you're trying to use the card, I should have said, you know what, okay, and walk the hell up out of there. But knowing me and my temper, I was ready to engage, but God, but God, So, anyways, guys, I want to show one last thing because I think it's a really important video. Because when we talk about, like, right now, the thing that's going on with FBI, I didn't get to like go into it with the last live I did, but I wanted to show this. I believe that this is one of the most beautiful things that I've seen when it comes to I show speech. Shouts out to him. He's been all over the world, right? But he recently, on 2026, he decided to like go to Africa. And man, what happened there was like so cool. So I wanted to like show that. So let me just show this real quick. On a positive note, even because I just got finished talking about how I was gonna whoop somebody behind, and I didn't do it. So shouts out. Thank God I didn't do that, because I really wanted to. Trust me. Let's go into this real quick.
I Show Speed. If you don't know who he is a huge streamer. And I've actually criticized him on the channel before. One thing in particular that I don't like was like him feeding into the racist stereotypes and basically being a minstrel show. You know, eating fried chicken on camera, like just doing all this other weird stuff. Now, despite of that, he's doing something right now that is very positive, and I don't think he realized how big it is. For the past year or so, he's been going around to different countries, streaming, basically doing IRL stream. And to kick the year off, I Show Speed decided to do a Africa tour. Now, as American, when we hear Africa, we think of teepees, huts, dirt roads, you know, things of that nature. And this is just another form of propaganda. Like I remember when I was younger, man, getting ready for school, I used to have the TV on. Every morning, it used to be Feed Africa ads. You would see like a skinny African little kid with a white woman, you know, saying, oh, give us money to feed them. You know, these are the type of things we see. On the other hand, a lot of Africans, the way they see us is, especially Black Americans, they see us as violent. They see us in movies shooting each other. So it's a disconnect that is not either of our own faults. But the point is, I Show Speed is breaking the African propaganda right now, and I love it. So this is one of the countries, Mozambique. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I don't want to butcher the name, but just look at it. Like it looks like a very modern city, and I blame the American, you know, school system for like, you know. This is another one of I don't know how to pronounce the name. Mozambique. I think Mozambique. And it looks like Miami, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibe it's giving me. Beautiful. So everybody showing love, man. That's one thing I love about Speed when they do these. Like he really goes into the culture. It's all love too, bro. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, they gonna beat him probably in every athletic thing he does. Yeah. But the vibes is immaculate, man. Look, someone made him art. Like this is fire. Excuse me, bro. Yo, that is fire. Please, I need this. Another one of him dancing. I think this is when he was in Angola. He's been to 3 countries now. Hey. Now these are just a few clips, man. You got to watch the full stream. The vibes are just absolutely immaculate. Now the thing that's really been getting me, man, is just the ignorance. And like I say, I don't really blame these people because it's what's being pushed to them about Africa. I was the same way until a few years ago. I started like looking into things. I'm like, damn, it's really nice over here. But yeah, man, people are really shocked.
This nigga's in Africa. Nigga, these niggas got drip. And look at the city lights, bro. This shit is cleaner than New York. Like, look at this. My son is in, like, I think it's in Angola. Some shit. Nigga, this shit like downtown Houston. Like, I know they got self-driving cars in this bitch, man. Like, come on, look how futuristic this shit look. Look at y'all, man. Thinking Africans still got water and shit. Thinking they poor and shit. Like, come on, man. But this stream opened my eyes to a lot of shit. Man.
That's what a lot of people don't realize, man.
Car on the street, bro. Look at that, bro. This shit look like a futuristic LES. Futuristic downtown Brooklyn. Like look at the streets.
Joe, so I'm kind of confused. Like, I Show Speed's in Africa, and like, how? Like, they have Wi-Fi.
He's British.
I never knew that. And like, they have cars, houses. Like, shit's crazy. I never knew that.
It's funny, bro. I can't be mad at him. I mean, if you ain't know they had cars though, that's you're a dumbass. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. And this is why I hate diaspora wars so much, man. Because in the grand scheme of things, Africans, they love us, and us Black Americans, we love y'all too.
Y'all probably wondering why I'm crying. I've been watching Speed streams, and I'm seeing all the love that he's getting.
Hell yeah.
In Angola, he's in South Africa, and he's getting massive amount of love. And the way that he was treated in Europe was disgusting.
And we're gonna talk about that.
But to see him be a Black man from the United States of African descent and be able to go back to the continent and be treated like a human by civilized African people, when we've been taught that Africa is primitive, that it's dangerous, don't go back. They have this, they have that. They don't want you, they don't like you.
That's all I hear, bro. Even people in my comments, they be like, bro, why you be taking up for Africans so much? They don't like you. I'm like, bro, y'all gotta stop being on the internet so much. You know what I'm saying? Even in the sense of being on the internet, like a lot of the love I get is from African people, like my people, I'm descended to them. They send me messages all the time, man. Much love. We love y'all. Like, don't fall for that shit. Like, I get that all the time.
And to see an African American man with his stature go back to the motherland and be treated with so much respect, This is what our people fought for. This is what they fought for when they fought against Jim Crow and segregation. This is what the slave revolts were about. This is what it's always been about. Is to be able to go back home to a home that you've never been and be unapologetically black and not have to think about being black. Just being able to have your natural hair and your brown skin and not be judged.
Not be judged off.
And not be racially profiled and not be killed. I love the love that he is getting.
Now in the video, she brought up a point how, you know, he went to Africa and he was treated like a human. It was civilized. These are things they tell us that Africans aren't. Now let's go back to when I Show Speed traveled to Europe. And I remember seeing the clip they were trending, man. They was treating him like trash. They were throwing stuff at him, making monkey noises, calling him the N-word. These are the civilized people, you know, the proper people, the Europeans. No, these people were animals.
Like, bro, I didn't even see the KFC, bro. Who said that?
Somebody said, well.
Who said that? Who said well? Who said that? Come here. Nah, come here, bro. Why you say well, bro? You be in my chat saying that shit, bro? Yeah. Why you say that shit?
Making monkey noises, y'all.
Hey, how do
Yo, these.
Ooh.
Man, these are the same people that love calling black people violent, uncivilized. Hey, look, I like this comparison. I'm going off topic. Say a fat person, they be like, I'm hungry, bro. Somebody gonna be like, oh yeah, hell yeah, you is hungry with your fat ass. But if a skinny person, or if I said I'm hungry, they're gonna be like, yeah, let's get something to eat. Y'all get the analogy? But like when black people do some shit, it's like, hell yeah. I hope y'all got that analogy because I heard that somewhere and it was funny as hell to me. What's wrong?
Hey, chat. Okay. Put my phone up. Oh.
It's sad, bro. It's sad.
Bro, stop playing on me, bro.
See. Google Translate. I'm going to Google.
So I'm guessing book equals the Nick, and he's trying to be funny. Just trying racism. Ha ha ha. These be the 10-year-olds on Instagram liking all these people posts. They think the shit funny. It's not. You're a cornball.
He's scared of me?
A little bit, don't worry.
Why he scared of me?
No idea.
Come on, little man. Come on.
We know why he's scared.
Juvik.
They know why. We know why he's scared. Anyway, man, the experience from Europe versus Africa was totally different. It was all love in Africa. When my mans went to Europe, they was treating him like he was. But I really just want to give I Show Speed his flowers, man. It's been a joy to see these clips. It really made my day, my week, really, bro. Seeing all that love, and it just tells you, and it just shows you, man, not to look, and it just shows you, man, not to feed into the propaganda. These black fatigue videos. Have y'all ever talked to a black person in real life? In my neighborhood alone, man, like it's so many affluent black people off living great, black families, black fathers, man. It's if you go into the real world, you will see what it really is. If you stay online, if you're fucking parasocial and shit, yeah, you might see black fatigue. You're gonna believe it, but when you go into the real world, you see this stuff for yourself, you'll be totally, shocked. But that's it, man. I hope y'all enjoy. If y'all want to see something similar to this, go check out, man. It's 30 old. I Show Speed. If you don't know who he is a
I wanted to show that real quick because I think that was a beautiful ending to a great live. If you get a chance, please go back and see the Odu for the year, the La Letra de Año. Shouts out to those who have stuck around this long. Please watch the replay. Much love and peace.
Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah. See if you believe in the God in you.